Hey, this is Matt from InvestiQuant. Today is Tuesday, June 16th, 2020. And this morning we saw the markets gap up sizably across the board. And they consolidated for a while before we had some news hit the markets that spooked the markets. Markets dropped down to the prior day closing price where they all bounced pretty hard off of the prior day closing price area. So what I want to do this afternoon is just take a look at this type of pattern where you get a sizable gap up that fills its gap and then bounces. So I can do that here in Discover by going into Discover. We select all four instruments and use a time-based entry. For the time-based entry, I'm going to use an entry of 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The trade type is going to be long, and it will exit at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, to define the pattern of this sizable up gap, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select up gap, and then I'm going to use a gap size as a percent of the 5-day ATR. And I'll put in a minimum here of 50%. So that means the ATR is looking at basically an average of the volatility that we've been seeing. And the gap size for this example would have to be at least 50% of the average volatility for the day that we have been seeing. So we actually gapped up 80%. You can see that over here on the active today section, which tells you exactly how big that gap was. We had 80% of the 5-day ATR for our gap size today. But for this test, I'm going to use 50% just to try to keep sample sizes a little bit larger than going with the 80%. And then next, I'm going to go to the post-open filters, and I'm going to select that the gap filled, but we are trading in the top half of the range at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And that'll give us that bounce pattern. So let me go ahead and click View Results, and we will see the results. And here are the results. So it looks like we got 27 samples in the ES, 19 in the NASDAQ, 23 in the YM, and 19 in the Russell. So not a super common pattern, fairly rare. But when it has happened, it looks like ES has closed higher than that price 63% of the times. NASDAQ 63% as well. YM just a little under 50-50. And Russell has been a little bit stronger on its 19 samples of close to 80%. For closing above that 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So it looks like historically this pattern where you are getting a sizable gap up that fills the gap and then bounces back to be trading in the top half of the range at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time has slightly favored the bulls going into the close. So something to think about there. Good luck the rest of the day, and we will see you next time.